Because of Mr.Terupt by Rob Bouyeya. Pages 1 to 28. Chapters Peter to Luke. Peter. It's our bad luck to have teachers in this world, but since we're stuck with them, the best we can hope to get a brand new one instead of a mean old fart. New teachers don't know the rules, so you can get away with things that the old-timers would squash you for. That was my theory. So I was feeling pretty excited to start 5th grade, since I was getting a rookie teacher, a guy named Mr.Terupt. Right away, I put him to the test. If the bathroom pass is free, all you need to do is take it and go. This year, the bathrooms are right across the hall. It's always been an easy way to get out from doing work. I can be really sneaky like that. I can take the pass all the time and the teachers never notice. And like I said, Mr.Terupt was a rookie, so I knew he wasn't going to catch me. Once you're in the bathroom, it's mess around time. All the other teachers on the floor are women, so you don't have to worry about them barging in on you. Grab the bars to the stalls and swing. Try to touch the feet to the ceiling. Swing hard. If someone's in the stall, it's really funny to swing and kick his door in, especially if he's a younger kid. If you scare him bad enough, he might pee on himself a little. That's funny. Or if your buddy's using the urinal, you can push him from behind and flush it at the same time. Then you might get a little wet. That's pretty funny too. Some kids like to plug the toilets with big wads of toilet paper, but I don't suggest you doing that. You can get in big trouble. My older brother told me his friend got caught and he had to scrub the toilets with a toothbrush. He said the principal made him brush his teeth with that toothbrush afterward, too. Mrs. Williams is kind of tough, but I don't think she'd give that kind of punishment. But I don't want to find out either. When I came back into the classroom after my 4th or 5th trip, Mr. Terupt looked at me and said, "Boy, Peter, I'm going to have to call you Mr. Peabody, or better yet, Peter the Peer. You do more peeing than a dog walking by a mile of fire hydrants." Everyone laughed. I was wrong. He had noticed. I sat down. Then Mr. Terupt came over and whispered in my ear. My grandpa used to tell me to tie a knot in it. I didn't know what to do. My eyes got real big when he said that. I couldn't believe it, but that didn't matter. Mr. Terupt went back to the front board and the math problem he was going over. I sat there with big eyes. Soon, a smile too. "What did he say?" Marty asked. Marty's desk was right next to mine. "Nothing," I said. Ben and Wendy leaned across their desks to hear. They sat right across from us. Our 4 desks made the table number 3. Mr. Terupt called us by table sometimes. How cool was Mr. Terupt? Nothing, I said again. It would be my secret. How cool was Mr. Terupt? His reaction was better than being yelled at like the old farts would have done. Some kids in my class would have cried, but not me. And somehow, I think Mr. Terupt knew I wouldn't. It was his way of letting me know he knew what was going on without making a huge stink about it. And I liked that about Mr. Terupt. He sure could be funny, and I'm a funny guy. This year, for the first time in my life, I started thinking school could be fun. Jessica, Act 1, Scene 1. The first day of school. I was nervous, somewhat. The sweaty palms and dry mouth syndrome stuck. This wasn't surprising. After all, I was coming to a brand new place. My mom and I had just moved all the way here from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, over here in Connecticut. So, it was my first day at Snow Hill School. My mom came to help me get settled. We walked through the glass doors and beautiful entryway, and we stopped in the main office to ask for directions. A red-haired woman, who proved to be quite exceptional at multitasking, greeted us with a smile and a slight nod. She did this while the phone rested between her ear and her shoulder. allowing her hands to scribble notes from a conversation she was having in her free year with the brown-haired lady standing right next to her. We waited. My fingers dug into the hard cover of my book. "Hi, I'm Mrs. Williams, the principal." This was the brown-haired lady speaking. She looked serious, all decked out in her business suit. "Welcome to Snow Hill School. Can I help you with anything?" "We're looking for Mr. Terupt's room," Mom said. "I'm Julie Reitman, and this is my daughter, Jessica. We're new in town." "Ah, yes. It's a pleasure to meet you both. Let me show you the way." Mrs. Williams led us out of the office. I glanced at the secretary one more time. She'd be a great character in one of Dad's plays, I thought. My dad directs small plays in California, where I still wanted to be. "How are you today, Jessica?" Mrs. Williams asked. "Fine," I said, although that wasn't really true. We followed Mrs. Williams across the lobby and upstairs in search of my new fifth-grade classroom. The halls felt stuffy but clean, like they'd just been disinfected. I wondered if the custodians had done that on purpose, to make a show of how clean their school was. I followed past Mom down the blue speckled carpet and was past the rows of red lockers where some kids were already unloading their new supplies. I could feel all their eyes studying the new girl in town. After the stairs came the whispers. My face burned. "Here you are," Mrs. Williams said. "This is your floor. There are 4 classrooms up here, all 5th grade. 2 on each side of the hall with bathrooms right in the middle." Mrs. Williams pointed as she spoke. "That's your classroom," she pointed again. Room 202. "Have a great first day." "Thank you," my mom said, and I just nodded. We walked into the classroom. The teacher looked up from his desk and smiled at us. The butterflies in my stomach fluttered as if I was on a tilt-a-whirl. "Good morning. I'm Mr. Terupt," the teacher said as Mom and I walked in. He came right over to greet us. "Good morning," Mom said back. "I'm Julie Reitman, and this is Jessica. I think she's a little nervous about being a new student." My tongue felt so swollen that I couldn't even talk. I settled on returning Mr. Terupt's smile. It was a friendly one. "Well, this is my first day too, so I guess we'll try to figure out things together," he said. My smile grew. "Your seat is right over there at table 2. You're with Natalie, Tommy, and Ryan. Being near the window should give you some good reading light. That's a great book you have there, Jessica." I looked down at my book. A Wrinkle in Time. I rubbed my hand over the cover. "I really like happy endings," I said. "Me too," Mr. Terupt said, "and I'll do my best to give you a happy ending this year." I smiled again. I couldn't believe it. My teacher was new, too, and he liked what I was reading. I don't know, but somehow he made my butterflies disappear and my tongue shrink. Things were going to be okay. Luke. I like school. I'm good at it. I get all A's. So when Mr. Terupt announced our first math project, I was excited. Dollar words was crazy. Definitely not a worksheet problem like all the others I've been given. Not even close. We had to assume that letter A was worth 1 cent, B 2 cents, C 3 cents, and so on, making the letter Z worth 26 cents. The challenge was to find words that equaled $1 when you added up their letter values. Not 99 cents or $1.01, but $1 exactly. Mr. Terupt gave us some time to get started. He wanted to make sure we understood the project, and he said he wondered who would be the first one to find a dollar word. I immediately made a data table of all the letters and their corresponding values, a quick reference for me. Then I started putting down any word that came to mind that had some of the bigger letters in it. Pretty equals 104. Walnut equals 91. Mr. equals 84. Then I thought, hey, wait a minute. What if I just tack on the letter S? Misters. No, 103. No good, but very close. I figured this could be a worthwhile strategy for other words. So there I was, cranking out words, trying to find the first dollar word of the year. And what do I hear? Peter and Alexa. This is the fourth year Peter's been in my class and my third time with Alexa. Peter's funny, but he sometimes gets to be too much. If I'm concentrating on my work, he just wants to joke around, and it annoys me. But I like him. He's fun and he's no stranger to trouble. Alexa, on the other hand, is always involved in some sort of girl war. That stuff I don't get. She loves to wear flashy clothes, dresses, skirts, fancy shoes, and she always has the accessories to go with them. She says the word like way too much. Alexa isn't a stranger to trouble either. She and Peter are a good match. Peter elbowed Alexa. That's when I hear him whisper a word to her. That's not even close to $1, I thought. 53, Alexa said. No good. Try. Were they crazy? They were just trying out rude words and giggling the whole time. I just knew they were going to get caught. That's no good either, Peter said. Maybe, what a butthead? As soon as I thought it, I knew it was a word worth calculating. Sure enough, butthead equals 81. I tacked on the other S. There just wasn't one butthead, but two buttheads. Dollar word. I was about to call that out that I had found one when Peter beat me to it. I've got a word, he yelled. Buttocks. He strutted to the board like it was the coolest thing that ever since sliced bread, and he wrote it for the class. Buttocks, he said again. Buttocks. Peter went on to demonstrate how the word added up to $1. Mr. Terupt didn't interrupt. Just as I was about to, the new girl did. But buttocks is spelled with a K in it, Peter, Jessica said. Peter looked to Mr. Terupt. Sorry, Peter, she's right. Better try again. And maybe you should choose a different type of word than the ones you've been coming up with. Peter slunk back to his seat. No surprise to me, Mr. Terupt knew what Peter was up to the whole time. I raised my hand. Mr. Terupt, I got one. I walked up to the board and wrote butthead. That was followed by a chorus of laughs. Butthead, I said. Butthead. Adds to 81 cents. But if we had more than one, then we get buttheads, and buttheads is $1 word. Just as Peter and Alexa. Mr. Terupt snickers. That's enough, Luke. I must say, this isn't a word I was expecting, but nonetheless, it's our first $1 word. Congratulations. $1 word was the best math project ever. We started it on a Wednesday, $1 word, and worked for 3 weeks. Through trial and error, a few strategies that I learned along the way, and some helpful hints from Mr. Terupt, I broke the record for most $1 words. My final poster was covered with 54 of them. Mr. Terupt looked at my work and smiled. Luke, this is excellent, $1 word. You are the $1 word champ. Alexa. I was like, I have this new guy for a teacher. That's so cool. Mr. Terupt was nice. He let us sit in tables, not row. I was like, no way, are you serious? And the best was I got to sit with my friend Danielle. There was this new girl in class, Jessica. She wasn't at our table, but I needed to talk with her. I needed to tell her who she could be friends with. She seemed like she could be pretty cool, even though she carried a book around like a teddy bear. I found her at recess. Outdoor recess is held behind the school. There's a big blacktop area with basketball hoops and hopscotch. There's playground equipment in another spot and a large field for running around and playing sports like kickball or football. That's where the gazebo is, too. By the edge of the field, I found Jessica sitting alone on the steps of the gazebo. She was reading a book. I was like, what a loser. But I went up to her. Hey, I said. Hi, she said right back. You're Jessica, right? Yes. I blew a bubble with my gum and sat down. I'm Alexa. I said. My friends call me Lexi. I found the compact mirror in my purse and checked my Rockstar purple lip gloss. Then I was like, where'd you come from? We moved from California, the new girl said. I used to live in California too. I started playing with the stones that lay under my feet. It's always been easier for me to lie when I don't have to look at the person's eyes. We moved here because, my dad got sick and he needed the doctors here. I'm sorry, Jessica said. She started to play with the stones too. Listen, I said. You're new here, so let me help you out a little, if you want, that is. I snapped my gum. Sure, okay. I stopped playing with the stones and scooted closer to her. Want a piece of gum? No thanks, she said. Of course not. Little Miss Perfect. I put my gum back in the purse. That girl, I said, pointing to Danielle across the playground. You can't miss her. She's the fat one, I laughed, but Jessica didn't. That's Danielle. Watch out for her. She's like somebody you don't want to be friends with. But don't you sit with her in class? I thought you were friends. I wasn't expecting this. Usually girls just listen and follow along. I blew a bubble and snapped my gum again. Yeah, she used to be cool. But, she's been saying stuff about you, calling you Miss Goody Two Shoes and a snotty bookworm. Jessica seemed surprised. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know, she said. Don't worry, I put my arm around her. Stick with me and I'll, help you out. It'll be great. Then recess ended. That's how I got the girl war started. Jeffrey. The kids in my class are all right. I have to deal with Alexa again. Plus her feather boas and leopard print clothes and her stupid purse. I wonder what kind of makeup she puts on this year. She's so dumb. She thinks that she's a Hollywood star or something. And there's Luke. I don't mind him. He's just smart and serious about school. And Danielle's in my class. She's fat. And then there's Peter, a wise guy, a total smart aleck. I wanted to tell Terupt that Peter spent all his time in the bathroom because he's messing around. But Terupt figured it out, even if he was new. He seems smart. I just don't want him trying to figure me out. I'm no good in school. School sucks. Danielle. School wasn't so great. My teacher seemed pretty nice, but he could be funny too. But none of that matters when you don't have friends. Lexi had done this stuff before to me before too. One day she's my friend, the next she's not. I don't even know why. I'm not mean to her. This year was the worst though. Things started out fine. Then one day after recess, Lexi started ignoring me, pretending I wasn't there. She would talk about things right in front of me and leave me out of the conversation. She started telling her stupid fat jokes. It was horrible. I cried at home a lot. I'm a little heavy. Well, bigger, I guess. I don't like saying I'm fat. I don't know why I am. I watch what I eat and I don't have more than the other girls at lunch. Mom says I'll grow into my body. She's not fat. Neither is my brother Charlie or Grandma or Grandpa or Dad. Grandma says, You've got some meat. You've got to have some meat on your bones, girl. Yeah, Grandma, I think so. Someone like Lexi can tell fat jokes about me. I don't say anything though. Grandma doesn't get it. Only Mom understands, and I feel a bit better when she reassures me that I'll thin out as I grow. She also tells me that there must be a reason why I'm having to deal with this. It's making you a better person, she says. And someday this experience will help you. That's all great, but I wish I could grow into my body now. We live on a farm. My mom grew up here. My grandma and grandpa live in their own house next to ours. They help us run the farm. So grandma's around a lot, and she wanted to know what's wrong with me, why I was crying, and why I was crying. Anytime I mentioned Lexi, she'd get all mad. I'm going into that school and fix that girl, she'd say. No, Grandma. Why are you even still friends with her? She doesn't even know how to treat people. Well, especially a friend. It's not her fault, Grandma. It's this new girl's fault, I said, sticking up to Lexi the way I always do. A new girl that I can't stand. If you keep on telling yourself that, It won't get better, Grandma said. She's a tough woman. The only time I've got friends is when I'm in Lexi's group. No one wants to be friends with the fat kid. I don't even know what to do. Grandma said prayer with me that night. We knelt by my bed. Dear God, please give Danielle the strength to stand up to these mean girls at school, or do what you can to teach Alexa a lesson. If you made her fat, that would be all right by me. I elbowed Grandma. Oh, okay, she said. I just ask that you provide Danielle with some comfort and direction during these tough times. We pray for the good weather to hold up and the farm. Amen. I didn't say that much at school, and I never raised my hand. That would be an easy way for people to notice me. That's something Mom warned me about. And my mom knows, trust me, I didn't have any close friends and I wasn't looking for any. Mom was my best friend. Not getting noticed was never a problem for me before. I was always quiet and I behaved, so the teachers left me alone. I kept my head down and I looked at the floor a lot, but I'm a good observer. Mrs. Williams, our principal, winks when there's a big surprise coming. It's something I've noticed a few years ago. If you keep quiet, you have the time to look and listen to take things in. At the beginning of the year, we had the first thing you pay attention is the classroom. We had a nice room, a big one. There's a whole wall of windows opposite the door. Mr. Terupt's desk was in the corner by those windows. The students' desks were arranged in 5 tables of 4. So right away, I knew we had a teacher who was into teamwork and probably didn't mind a little talking. Otherwise, we would have been in old-fashioned rows. The front of the room had the blackboard and the back wall had a whiteboard. The last side of the room had all our cabinets and a sink plus a drinking fountain. Most of the room was carpeted except for the side by the sink and the fountain. Our door was right next to the fountain. The other thing, the bigger thing you pay attention to in the beginning is your teacher, especially if he's new like Mr. Terupt. Right away, I could tell he was a reader because there are books everywhere in our room. Mom liked that when I told her. Mom's a library assistant in another school. It's a good job. She has the same schedule I do and allows her to take some classes at night. She's studying art, something she missed on when she was younger. She's really good at drawing and painting. Mr. Terupt was young and athletic looking. He didn't have any pictures around his desk, and he didn't wear a wedding ring. Miss Newbury across the hall didn't have a wedding ring either. Neither did Mom. Mr. Terupt turned out to be different. He noticed me on the first day, and it didn't matter that I wasn't raising my hand, because he would say, Anna, get ready, I'm calling on you next. Or if we were talking about something and there wasn't one opinion, he'd say, Anna, what do you think? He wasn't going to let me hide all year. This made me nervous, but it turned to be a good thing in the end. October. Peter. I never had anything in school excite me before, but the plant unit we did with Mr. T fired me up. We grew these bean plants from seeds, and once they got big enough, we did some different tests with them. Variables, Mr. T called them. First, we stuffed the plants in boxes with just a tiny hole in the side, and we waited to see what the plants would do after a few days in the dark. Anna had a meltdown about it. I don't want to put mine in a box, she cried. Mr. T had to take her out in the hall and calm her down. I was kind of shocked. Usually she doesn't say anything. What a weirdo, I thought. It's no wonder she doesn't have any friends. It's good Danielle was her partner. She's the patient kind. Anyone else would have been fuming. My partner was Lexi, which was fine. She let me do whatever I wanted. Next, we put the plants on the side to see how they grew. I couldn't believe it. The plants bent and grew up to the ceiling. That was pretty cool. The best part was what we got to do in the end. Mr. T let us feed our plant to any concoction we wanted over the course of a week. There's just one rule. We couldn't use an ingredient that would spoil and stink up the classroom like milk, or something that wasn't good enough for us to breathe like gas. There were some pretty wild concoctions. David and Nick used salad dressing because, according to them, plants make salad, so the plant will like salad dressing. Brenda and Heather also used orange juice mixed with ketchup and Pepto-Bismol. I don't know what they were thinking, but mine was the best, I thought. I brought in cat litter, used soda, and a little maple syrup. I did my best to mix it together and feed my plant. Lexi wasn't really happy about my choice of ingredients. I didn't tell her that I had peed in my soda bottle some too. Peter, you moron! This stuff is gonna kill our plant, she whined. Shut up, you never even cared about the plant before. Well, I care now, she said. Lexi, maple syrup comes from trees. I drink soda a lot, and I'm growing. And farmers put animal manure on their fields all the time, so zip it. It's gonna work. Our plant was dead in 2 days. Danielle and Anna did the best. Danielle used some natural ingredients her grandmother had taught her about. Something the old-time farmers really did use, I guess. Danielle lives on a farm, so she has a big advantage. Her concoction worked, big time. She and Anna were the only ones to come up with food that the plant liked. Anna was all smiles until Lexi said, you're just lucky Danielle was your partner. She did everything. Then Lexi turned to me and said, even if she's fat. I don't think anyone else heard, but I laughed. I know I probably shouldn't have. Anna's smile disappeared and she stared at the floor. Poor old Luke sure tried. I think he put too much brain power in it. And he's got a lot of brain power. He's been the smartest kid in school since kindergarten. His partner was Jeffrey, but he never does anything. Maybe he should have helped. I brought in a number of different ingredients, Luke said, and they'll interact perfectly because of the electron balance and the resulting bond formations. He even said something about a periodic table or some crazy thing. Well, you're never going to believe this, but Luke mixed his junk together and it started smoking. Next thing we know, the stupid fire alarm was going off. The whole school had to go outside and the fire department showed up. It was great. Mr. T had to do some explaining, and after a while we were let back inside, but Luke wasn't performing any more experiments for us. Man, things were just so much fun with Mr. T. The end for this segment for pages 1 to 28.